Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome back. I say welcome back because I just saw some of you on Monday. I hope that you're joining me for a second time. Fingers crossed. We're talking about something a little bit different today. I would think I was chatting with Andrew earlier and I said, well, I think this is going to be more for the marketing folks, but I would love it if anybody's like tuning into like the first 5 seconds of this. Everybody should know this in your brewery. So please stick around. Even if you're in production, I think talking about copywriting in general, if you know how to influence people with words and you know how to sell things, you can do things like negotiate a raise or ask for an additional budget item or any of that stuff. So I would encourage everybody to stick around no matter what department you're in. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into things, honestly, because we have a lot to cover and I'm super excited. So, first of all, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for spending your Wednesday midday with me. And thank you again to Andrew for allowing me to speak so many times graciously at the virtual conference from Craft Beer Professionals. And big thank you to Arrived, White Labs, River Drive Cooperage for making this free for everybody all the time. So big thank you. And let's get right into things. First, a little bit of housekeeping, and that is please, please, please ask questions. Put them in the comment section. I should be able to see people's names. I think so. But oh yay, Laura, I'm glad you're here. I can kind of see people's names in the chat a little bit. I will come back. I will circle back to all of the questions that you have. So as they enter your brain, please just put them in the chat in the Q&A section and I will get to them. I promise. I promise. And this is, let's see, let me click back on my slides here. I'm sharing my screen. This is a joke for everybody. I do this quite often when I speak places. This is a tiny bit about me. So who am I? I'm Julie Rhodes. I'm the owner and operator of Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions. It is a strategic business consulting company, and I specialize in helping people with their retail, like wholesale sales. So outside of your tap room, offsite, their digital marketing campaigns, and also distribution management, which holds a lot of question marks for people. So if you need help with any of those things, please reach out to me and I can get you taken care of. You can find me on the interwebs. I also do a lot of other things. I'm heavily involved with Pink Boots Society. I'm involved in a lot of committees there. I'm also a chapter leader in Denver. I am lucky enough to be a member of the Brewers Association DEI Marketing and Communications Subcommittee. That is a mouthful. I'm one of the founding members of the Safe Bars P.A.C.T. initiative. So I work with Andrew quite a bit. And some of my other cohorts that were on here, which is awesome to see everybody like AJ and Dana and everybody, the usual suspects here. I'm married. My husband's also in the industry. Shout out to Wild Goose. He works for Wild Goose. So if anybody has an Evo or a Gosling or anything, thank you. I have 2 boys that have been raised in a brewery. I've been in this industry I've been in food and bev for almost 3 decades, which is kind of embarrassing to admit out loud, but I'm also proud of that at the same time. I was on supplier side sales for like almost 12 years, and my company is about 3 years old. I have an anniversary coming up, which I'm very excited about. And I struck out on my own about 3 years ago to teach people these weird skill sets that I have that I didn't realize I had. So let's jump right into things. Enough about me. I want everybody to, you might have to like juggle your smartphone if you're watching on your smartphone, or if you're watching on your desktop or laptop, snap a photo real quick of this QR code. I want everybody to scan this and open it up because, again, just like I did on Monday, I'm going to have some interactive polls going on. I would love, love, love to get your feedback. So the more people, the better. Just take a moment. I'm going to take a sip of my tea so that everybody can scan this and open it up in your browser. I'm losing my voice, so I'm drinking herbal tea today. All right. Let's get right into things. I always like to set expectations from the very beginning, just so, if you don't want to learn about this, you can just exit out. I hope that you don't, but so this is what we're going to talk about today. I want to get really clear on what copywriting actually means. A lot of people don't really know exactly what that means definition wise. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss why copywriting is a vitally important piece of your marketing plans and marketing strategies. We're also going to talk about how you can develop your own copywriting skills. It's not as hard as you think, I promise. And the reason we want to do that is because you want to build brand awareness for your brewery, right? I think pretty much everybody wants to do that. Learning how to do copywriting more effectively and efficiently can help you cast a wide net, build brand awareness, and it can improve the efficiency of your sales and marketing materials. I'm also going to go into a pretty specific system for this. So, color coded copywriting alludes to a system that I was inspired by myself called the DISC system. It's an acronym, it's DISC. If anybody wants more information about this, I always recommend going to discprofile.com. And I've got the website listed on one of my slides in here if you actually need to see it in front of you. But it's a system for classifying people's personalities. And we're going to talk about how you can incorporate that into your sales copy that you use for your sales and marketing materials. Finally, we're going to talk about how you can craft better marketing materials because of your sales copy and understanding people's personality types. And then I always like to give people real world examples. I'm going to fumble a little bit at the end, and I'm just going to ask everybody to bear with me because I'm going to exit out of my slides and I'm going to jump around on the interwebs because I want to give you some real brewery examples. Nobody's given me a kickback for this, by the way. They have no idea that I'm using their materials, but just examples that I've pulled off of the internet that I think would be a really good example of these systems put into place and why it's so appealing for your target audiences. Okay. So this is our first poll. Everybody pull out your phones, please. All right. I want to know how many people that are watching today help with any type of marketing for your brewery. Anything. Anything. I like you contribute a picture, you're the full-time marketing person, you're the part-time marketing person, you're on contract, you help other breweries. Like, are you an allied trade partner that helps people with their brewery marketing? Please put that in here. I always say this too, like, do you step in when the owners are out of town or like the marketing person is out of town? The other example I like to give is like, do you work in front of the house and do you help? Yeah, a lot of people crowdsource their marketing efforts. So, do you help out with that? Do you help with posting? Do you write captions? Do you contribute to hashtags? Do you give people ridiculous videos for their TikTok accounts? Any of that stuff. Again, I'm gonna it's okay, Mary. I will count you as a yes. I see you in the comments. I will count that as a yes on the yes side. So anybody who can't get to the poll, you can just like raise your hand in the comments, like give a little wave or say like count me in. Honestly, most businesses crowdsource their marketing efforts. And so I think a lot of people are involved in marketing more than they realize. And that's why this is going to be so important today to discuss these things. And honestly, it's the ethos of why I wanted to talk about this anyways, because again, I feel like this applies across all departments in all breweries. So the next question, I should probably wait a second, but I'm just going to go on. I have another poll question for you. Do you know what copywriting actually means? And I want everybody to be honest. Like, I don't want you to be afraid to say no. It's totally fine. Again, I'm going to take a sip of my tea and wait for like votes to come in, which I hope they actually happen. I think this is going to take us, it takes a second for the results to come in, but do you know what copywriting is all about? There's no wrong answers here. Is everybody afraid to answer? Or I hope the poll is actually functioning. We might have hit a tech glitch. I don't know. I'm going to scroll backwards and then I'm going to scroll forward and see maybe that'll knock it out of the system. Does anyone want to answer? Or raise your hand in the comments. Do you know what copywriting actually means? Maybe it's just not syncing up. Oh, wah, wah. Do I want to deal with technical issues? Oh, I think there's a glitch in the system. I would love to see what this actually is, but I'm not gonna make you sit around and watch this. So, I have some feedback. Uh, the poll is not syncing up, but I can see in the comments. I think my poll died. Donna, I think you're right. But it looks like a lot of people don't know exactly what copywriting is, and some people do. So now I'm just going to tell you what it is. Problem solved, right? The definition of copywriting, according to Wikipedia, which you know is like the world's best resource, like wink, wink. Yeah. Anyways, that's the easiest one to find. It is the act or occupation of writing text for the purpose of advertising or other forms of marketing. The product, called copy or sales copy, which is what you're producing, is written content that aims to increase brand awareness and ultimately persuade a person or group to take a particular action. So that is incredibly important. It's basically we are using our words to the best of our ability to influence somebody to take an action. And in the beer world, hopefully that action is a conversion, right? Or in the form of a beer purchase. Ultimately, we sell beer. That's what we need to do. So sales copy can come in many, many different forms. I have more details about this a little bit later on, but just know that sales copy could be the caption in your social media post. It could be a blog article that you're writing. It could be a marketing email that you're sending out. It could be dialogue for a video that you put on Instagram. It shows up in a lot of different places. Oh, your website. That's another huge one, right? Your brewery website. And when you're designing your sales copy to actually get people to buy something right then and there, that is actually called sales conversion copywriting, or for short, in the business, we kind of just refer to it as conversion copywriting. And that is utilizing your words and utilizing language to take somebody from point A, where they're not buying anything from you, to point B, which is that they have actually bought beer from you or merch or committed to some kind of action. I want to say this. Think about it as the journey from a non-buying person to a person that frequents your tap room. That's really like the simplest way to put it. But the other thing that I want to tell you is that it could also spark a very small action in something, just like making a commitment, like asking people to follow you on Facebook, or liking your Instagram page, or leaving a review on Google for your business, or leaving a Yelp review. Ooh, everybody cringes when I say that. Or an Untapped review. How about that one? I know really people really love that one. So, but it's making a commitment. It's taking an action, because what that shows is engagement and a relationship with your target audience. And it shows that you're making an impression on your target audience's mind and influencing them to pull the trigger and do something. So why is copywriting important? Copywriting does matter. It helps you create the right impression of your brand. Hopefully, you've done a fair amount of work on branding for your brewery. I hope that you have. If you haven't and you need some help, I've got a lot of friends that are in branding. So just honestly, I don't specialize in branding. I talk about branding quite a bit, but it's not like the main thing that I provide for my client partners. So if you need help with branding, don't be afraid to admit that. Think about hiring somebody that's a branding expert to get really clear on the image of your brand, the voice of your brand, the feel of your brand, things like that, because the tone, the image, the language that you use should be consistent. I mention this person a lot, Donald Miller. He's got a wonderful book out there called Building a Story Brand. Side note, I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but I do think that he's a genius when it comes to marketing. He has a saying, very simple: when you confuse, you lose. And for a lot of the people that watch me talk or hear me speak about this kind of stuff, you hear me say that all the time. There's a reason for that. When you confuse your target audience or you confuse your customers, you will lose them. They will go off the radar. They will go MIA. They will go radio silent, basically, because you want to have consistent branding across the board for your craft beverage company. Otherwise, you're going to lose customers. And honestly, I don't think any of us want to do that at this point. I don't think that's a goal for anyone. So you should be paying attention to brand consistency when it comes to the voice of your brand, which directly correlates to copy that you're writing. So, just an example, if you post something on Instagram and let's say it's like a cartoon or a meme or something, and you make sort of a humorous caption, and then you come back the next day, and it's a very serious, like political post with very formal language, that's going to be very confusing to your customer base. Because if you were to lay them side by side, they wouldn't seem like they were coming from the same company. So you want to think about, is your voice that you're using, is it casual or is it formal? Is it funny or is it serious? Is it playful? Do you use a lot of emojis? Are you on TikTok? Things like that. Or is it a little bit more straight edge and streamlined? Are your captions like straight to the point? Is your website very like buttoned up and simple and modern? Those are the things that you need to think about in making sure that you're using consistent copy across the board on all of your channels and in all of your marketing strategies. The other thing is it informs and educates your target audience. How does it do that? You can use copy to talk about aspects of your brands or your company, elements of your products, attributes of your products, and also benefits as well, which is a huge one. I talk about that all the time when I talk about retail sales and connecting with your target audience. Anytime that you can learn to convey benefits instead of just attributes in your sales copy, the better off you're going to be, because it helps to resonate a little bit more with our customers. You need to talk to people about your beer, otherwise no one's going to buy it. Honestly, plain and simple. So the better you are at copywriting, the more you're going to sell, honestly, because if you keep your mouth shut and you never talk or write down sales copy, no one's going to know that you want people to buy your beer. So at the very basic of this entire talk is that you have to talk about your beer if you want people to buy it. You also can inform and educate about product attributes, business attributes, brewery attributes, attributes about your staff, in terms of, in the context of like talking about a product or a particular item. It would be things like the beer style, talking about the ABV, maybe the ingredients, maybe the expected like flavor profiles or nuances. Maybe pairings are important to you. So you would maybe talk about food pairings, maybe glassware is something that you want to highlight. So you would talk about like beer clean glassware or the appropriate glassware for that style or what you would like to see it being served in. That is all sales copy. Don't take that for granted. Another thing though is benefits. And I'm going to highlight this because it is so incredibly important for me to talk to people about, because it is a way that you can really connect with your target audience in a way that differentiates your brand and makes you unique. And that is learning how to write sales copy about your benefits and not just your attributes. What I mean by this, the example that I like to give all the time is like Bluetooth in your car. So if you have a car that has a Bluetooth function, you probably didn't buy that car specifically because it has the parts for the Bluetooth. Like, oh, it has that as a feature. Okay, great. Without even knowing it, subconsciously, your brain is thinking, I don't really care about the technology of the Bluetooth, but I'm thinking that it's going to create a safer environment for me in that car. And it's going to hopefully make you a safer driver because you're not fumbling with your phone. You're not taking your eyes off the road. You're not distracted by something else, right? So that would be a benefit. A benefit of Bluetooth in your car is safety. An attribute would be the actual technology. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So in terms of beer, to put that in context of breweries here, is your kettle sour going to make sense for my backyard barbecue? Great. You can tell me about your kettle sour all day. Does it have fruit in it? What's the ABV? What ingredients did I use? What equipment did I use to make it? Da, 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 da. Yes, those are all like the features and the attributes. The benefit to me is, when do I drink this? Where do I drink this? What do I pair with this? What situation would I be in? What can I imagine that I would feel while I'm drinking that kettle sour? And being able to describe that in your sales copy to people so that you can connect with your target audience in a way that goes beyond just your regular features. The other thing is that sales copy can communicate with your target audience in ways that pictures cannot. Sales copy serves as your main form of communication in order to build brand awareness and strengthen bonds with customers, right? Think about this. If you went to a brewery website and there were just photos and just icons, would you know much about that brewery? Like, think about it. Like, what kind of context? Like, yeah, you could draw some context from the pictures, but without words, you're not able to communicate all the things that you need to communicate with your potential customers, right? So we use sales copy to communicate directly with our customers in order to influence them to do things like, follow us on social media, go to the website again, read our blog articles, learn about our company, and create relationships with the brand, right? The other thing is that it attracts attention and it builds brand awareness. I'm going to give you specific examples of this because you always hear marketing people and like you'll hear it at conferences and stuff like, I have to build brand awareness. I'm casting a wide net. I want to build up brand awareness, for my company, things like that. But how in the hell do you actually do that? Those are really nice, like fancy words to say, but what does that actually mean? That means that you are taking your customer on a journey. You have a relationship with your target audience. You have a relationship with your customers. You have a relationship with people who are loyal to your brand and advocates for your brand. And that has to have a starting point somewhere, right? At some point, that person who advocates for your brand out in public without you even having to ask them to do so started off at a totally cold icicle point where they knew nothing about your brewery. Maybe it was before your brewery existed. Who knows? But everybody started off at that point. I always use this example of like you're dating your customers or you're dating your retail buyers. You're dating your target audience. And please don't misconstrue this as something inappropriate for all you, mind in the gutter people out there. But there's a process to that, right? If you skip a step in like the dating or courting process, it's a little off-putting, right? Like it's jarring. I think about when I first met my husband, if there wasn't like, hi, my name is Jason, my name is Julie, like, where are you from? Where do you work? What do you do? If he had just said, hi, my name is Jason, do you want to move in with me? That would have been super weird. And I probably would have like, ooh, like red flag, weirdo alert. I'm out the door, right? You do the same thing to your customers when you skip steps in their buyer's journey. So you need to follow a pattern that kind of has this first date, second date, third date, like warm up period so that you don't confuse your target audience and you can continue to build relationships with them so that it's not awkward and they aren't running the other direction to a different brewery brand. Right. Finally, and that honestly is a good segue into building relationships. I just kind of I jumped the gun on that a little bit, but I think you get the point of where I'm going with that. And finally, it convinces and it persuades, right? No, Laura, you're right. You don't want to sound presumptuous. I'm not going to assume that just because I say hello to you and ask you to follow my Facebook page, that you're automatically going to become like a loyalty club member and that you're going to order everything on my e-commerce site. Like that's not going to happen instantaneously. It's a process. And sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. We're going to talk about that with the personality types today. But finally, you're working ultimately to convince people to buy things and to persuade them to take an action. So think about, I want everybody to take a step back from your insider industry perspective, right? When you're at the grocery store, or if you go shopping for clothing, maybe you're looking at a car, maybe you're looking at buying a computer, think about the way that your decision-making process goes. Like, how do you start looking for information? Maybe you go to Google, like most people do. You Google something, you find somebody's website. That's kind of, the status quo for how people start researching things. But then what else do you do? Are you the type of person that clicks on something that gives you a discount? Are you the type of person that wants to know more about the company because you want to know about transparency? Maybe they're a B Corp, something like that. Are you the type of person that goes straight to social media instead of their website. So thinking about decision-making processes, no matter how big or how small, if you think about the process that you go through in trying to pick something out in order to spend money on it, people do the same thing with beer. It's just sometimes a lot of those uh, like chunks, like I always give the analogy, and people that know me know I love analogies. It's like crossing a river. You have stepping stones, right? So how do we get them to the next stepping stone so that we can get them to the other side, which is the purchase? And honestly, copywriting is a huge way of helping you get there. Okay, enough about that. This is how it shows up in our universe. To bring everything back in with all of my analogies about Bluetooth and grocery shopping and going into the metaverse about all this, let's bring it back in. How does it affect beer? How does it show up in our universe, right? You might not think of these. Some of these are obvious, but maybe you haven't thought about all of them. Your website, you've got sales copy all over your website. Social media, every time you write a caption, that's sales copy. That's why we need to get better at it. Blog articles, if you have a blog, that's sales copy, whether you realize it or not. It might be a manifesto that you write, but technically that's sales copy. I promise. Press releases, definitely sales copy, right? Not only are you selling that to whoever you're sending it to, you're actually using sales copy in your pitch message, whether it's email or on the phone or a text message, however you're doing, you're actually using sales copy to sell it to the media outlet that will publish it. And then you're using sales copy within your press release because you're sending that to your target audience. Product descriptions. You might not realize it. Those are sales copy as well. Sell sheets. Anybody who's in sales does sales and marketing here. Sales sheets are definitely sales copy. Pitch decks. If you've ever created a pitch deck for your distributor, to woo a distributor, to try to work with them in your annual brand planning meetings. If you've worked with chain or national accounts, you know how this goes. Pitch decks, definitely sales copy. And finally, video content. That's something that you don't think about every day as sales copy, but there has to be some dialogue in there somewhere. If there is dialogue, it is sales copy. All right. So I wanted to go a little bit further, and I've talked about this journey of the buyer. And I want you to know that can function. I know it says buyer's journey, but think about how many people are actually classified as a true buyer for your product. It could be the end consumer. It could be somebody in your tap room. It could be somebody at the end of your web store, like on your e-commerce site. It could be your retail buyers if you're selling in wholesale. And another thing that's going to blow your mind, it is your distributor partners. Whether you realize it or not, you have to sell to your distributor partners. Even though you're in a contract with them, we constantly have to sell to them all the time. Now, I think this might be a graphic that people want. I don't know if you want my slides are like, there's not that many of them. But if anybody wants them, I will make sure Andrew has them, and we'll get them in the group later on. Like, he's got links in the craft beer professionals group that we can get the slides to everybody. So I wanted to show everybody a visualization of what the buyer's journey actually looks like. These little tiny phases that people go through, and how sales copy and copywriting plays into that. If this is really small and you can't see it, I'll just go through it really fast. So anybody who's purchasing something, you go through an awareness phase where you're like discovering, researching, things like that. You go through a consideration phase where you're consuming additional content. You're trying to educate yourself. You're making comparisons of competing products, looking at reviews, things like that. Then you move into a decision-making phase, which is the purchase phase. After that, if you're happy with your purchase, you might be in the retention phase. You might think about buying that thing again. If you really like a beer, that's a retention phase, right? If you don't, that's I'm going to get out of the retention phase, right? So you actually leave this process. But if you move forward, then we get into what people just refer to as brand loyalty, right? You're loyal to that brand. You're in the advocacy phase. Anything after that blue phase in the middle is what's known in the marketing world and sales world as the loyalty loop. And honestly, when you talk about growing your brewery or expanding the brand or increasing sales, it is very, very much dependent on this loyalty loop because it is fueled by repeat purchases. And in the marketing world, when we talk about conversions, this loyalty loop is also present because you want to encourage repeat conversions. Like if I'm following your Facebook page, that's a conversion. You want me to keep going. Maybe you want me to go to your YouTube page. Maybe you want me to sign up for your email list, but it kind of loops back on itself. The things that can happen along the way, again, this is kind of small, but just to throw out some copywriting examples for you: social media, word of mouth, radio ads, social media ads, events. Um, Moving further along, you've got your website, you've got more social media, SEO, email marketing. In that purchase phase where people are making a decision, it might be something like forums and reviews. Again, more social media, on-site marketing, incentives, special events, things like that. And then you get into that loyalty loop, which is more like rewards, incentives, membership programs, special discounts, special events, things like that. All right. Hopefully everybody understands that. I'm going to move on. We're going to try this poll thing again. Let me know in the comments, like, if I don't start seeing answers. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. Here we go. Everybody bear with me. We're going to try this again. There we go. Okay, start putting answers in there. I think I activated again. Probably just got to like a bottleneck or something. I'm hoping that I just had to hit refresh. So what do you look for first when you visit a brewery website? I want everybody to be honest when they answer this. And there's some examples that I put on here. Hopefully it's not like other. And if somebody wants to tell me in the comments, hopefully my poll didn't die completely. That makes me sad because this was super fun when we did it on Monday. All right. Do you look for, look at that. We're in business. We're back in business. Yay. Okay. When you first go to a brewery website, or you can go beyond beer if you want to. If you want to just talk about if you're poking around on the internet and you're shopping for something, you're looking at buying something, or you're looking at a brewery website, what are the first things that you look for? Do you look at the menu buttons like along the top? You're like, what's on there? What can I find? Do you look at the beer lineup or like the product info page? Like, is that something that you gravitate towards right at the beginning? Are you one of the people that heads straight to the social media links, right? Straight to the social media links. And the other is, do you go straight to the About Us section? Like, do you want to know more about the staff? Maybe the origin story, things like that. I'll give people, I think the poll is live, hopefully. I think it is. So if anybody else wants to chime in, please do. All right, I'm going to patiently wait for some more stuff to come in. I should have pulled this up on my phone so that I could have answered this myself, because this applies to me as well. I am a consumer. Okay, most people go to the menu. Anybody else look at anything else? Do you look for the Instagram logo? Do you look for the Facebook logo? Do you want to know about the staff? I feel like I'm putting this out into the void. Bueller? Okay, we'll move on. The reason I did this poll, honestly, is to introduce you to the different elements of color-coded copywriting, which has to do with your personality type. Again, this is from discprofile.com. This is a really great representation of what it actually means, right? Thank you, Mary. If you go to social media before you go to the site. What the DISC assessment does, it basically helps businesses communicate internally, but also externally as well. So it helps them improve their marketing techniques, improve their communication techniques, improve their sales materials. Why? Because we're segmenting again. So on Monday, I talked about selling beer inclusively and getting outside of the realm of just demographics, right? Like getting outside of your comfort zone in targeting certain groups of audiences based on the way that they look or anything else like ethnicity, race, things like that. Um, it is more beneficial to use things like psychographics. And in this, I also mentioned personality types, which is huge, right? Because you're not basing anything off of the way people look or assumptions that you're making on them, but you're basing it off of their preferences, their values, their interests, their the way that they lean, just the way that they conduct their lives, their lifestyles, things like that. So you've got four main buckets of people that fit into one of these personality types: the D, the I, the C, or the S. Now, I get a lot of people saying, but Julie, there's stuff in between and there's like an arrow and it's going around like this. Yes, I understand that. Every human on the face of this planet has one dominant bucket that they fit into, right? You can be accented by other ones, but you're predominantly leaning towards one of these all the time. So I want to go through each of these with you so that you understand how you can tailor your sales copy to accommodate different personality types so that you can have a more well-rounded marketing program overall and have more well-rounded sales and marketing materials. The red, the D, that's dominance. It's also action takers, fast movers, things like that. The I is influence. We'll go over that, why it relates to people that are on Instagram a lot or have a lot of FOMO. The S is like stabilizing or steadiness. The old reliables, it's very patient people, kind of hopeless romantics. That kind of fits into that category. And then finally, you've got the blues, which are the C's. And these are the people that want all the answers to all the questions all the time. They love a good FAQ section on a website, things like that. Just so you know, this is not something new. This system was actually created way back in 1928 by a guy named William Marston. And this has been used by businesses for years, decades. All right. So the idea is that if you can leverage all these personality types in your marketing copy, you can appeal to the most number of people, right? And you can basically cast the widest net possible, but in a very targeted way. Okay, so let's dig into all these. If I can get my slide to change here. Let's talk about your red types. Your red types are also known as dominants, right? That sounds horrible, but dominant personalities. These are your action takers. They are determined. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they're looking for. These are the people that want that menu right then and there. So anybody that answered that poll that said, I go to the menu first to see what I can click on, you might be a red type because you're looking for something to take action on right away. The reason that we include things like links or calls to action in our marketing materials is for red types. They want something to do. They want the next step. They're very strong-willed. They're kind of opinionated. A lot of the times people that are red types get classified as extroverts, but that's not always the case. You can have people that are introverted that are very intentional about what they do and the actions that they take. They don't want a lot of fluff, right? These are the people, they don't like long form copy. They don't like long captions. They like things straight to the point, short and sweet, not a lot of pleasantries. For these folks, you want to craft copy with bullet points, bold or underlined items, things that are highlighted in different colors, using straight to the point language, things like including links like early on. If you have like a blog article or an email or something that you're writing, you want to give people something to click on. These are people that love buy now buttons or like buy here or find my beer here. They want to take the next logical step, right? And I read this great article the other day, so I wanted to put this in here. If red types were a social media network, they would be Twitter, right? So like limited characters, straight to the point, fast paced, I going crazy with action, right? All right, so let's talk about the yellow types. This group is mainly motivated by social recognition. They are known as the influencers. All your social media influencers out there, they're yellow types, right? Automatically, I can just tell you, they're yellow types. Um, Yellow types are usually super fun. They're very focused on relationships. They're very focused on outward appearances and social situations. They like to do things in groups. So if you're writing copy that relates to yellow types, you might want to say, like, we have a loyalty club or a membership club. We have a cider club. We have a beer of the month club, things like that. Like something that makes people feel like they're included in part of something that's special, just beyond the normal customers, right? They focus on happiness. They usually have very magnetic personalities and they like people that use magnetic and enthusiastic language. So it could be, I don't want you to go crazy with all the exclamation points, but it could be something that you're really excited about that you put in your social media captions. Yellows tend to gravitate towards more video content because it's dynamic. There's a lot of usual like social interaction. And a lot of the times when we feature video content, it's of happy people. Who doesn't want to see that? Right. They also have a bit of FOMO. So, and this also helps to humanize the brand. But if you're writing sales copy for yellow types, you want to use things like using fun media that shows happy people having fun, not an empty tap room, happy beer garden, happy people at your brewery. Um, Name drop, use influencers, create a fear of missing out, so to speak, like limited time now, limited supply. These are the people that love a good, like, one-off special release, things like that. But it's a great way to show off the personality of your brand in creating sales copy for yellows. And it helps to build long-term relationships with this target audience based off of, honestly, a lot of social media. And then again, that article that I read the other day, they said if yellow types were a social media channel, it would be Instagram, right? Like a lot of video, a lot of photos, a lot of fun, things like that. All right, now let's get into the green types. I always like to refer to green types as like hopeless romantics, but I don't want anybody to think that they're like sappy or naive or anything like that. It's because the green types focus on steadiness. They want stabilizers. They like stories that make sense. So if you can do any type of storytelling, with your marketing and sales materials, the green types are going to absolutely love it. They focus on collaboration, they love consistency, they love logic and reasoning, and they love predictability. So, again, think about this. When I talked at the beginning of the session about consistency with your branding, this is what the green types love. Love, love, love. They can rely on you to give the same feel, the same image to your brand, all that good stuff. They're usually described as very loyal. So if you can get green types on board, you're going to have a brand loyalist on your hands, which is awesome. They're great listeners. So they love to read, they love to consume audio content. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, these are your green types, right? Green types love a good podcast. They also like video content, though, but they love stories. They love behind the scenes. They love social proof. They focus on community building and they really like long form copy. So you could incorporate things for green types like testimonials, reviews, referrals, a lot of social proof with things like awards, call outs, sort of bragging rights for your brands. But you definitely want to balance that with like origin stories. They love behind the scenes access and they love collaboration. So anything that focuses on community building, a lot of like charitable work, nonprofit work, things like that. And again, if Grains were a social media channel, I know not everybody's a fan of Facebook, but Facebook was designed to collaborate and connect and build community. So that would be your green types right there. All right, finally, we're going to wrap things up with the blue types here. These are the questioners, also known as cautionaries, right? They value information, they value analytics, they're careful, they are inquisitive, and they are very diplomatic. What does that mean? They love a good frequently asked question section because they want to get all the answers to all the questions all the time, right? They're very logical, they're analytical, they like copy that swings educational. So anything that you can teach them, taking into account like teaching moments, When I talk to people about creating marketing materials that educate and inform, it would be something like beer and food pairings or proper glassware, or maybe sensory elements that you want to cover, tasting beer, how the beer is made, things like that. They usually consume marketing content on multiple channels. So they don't really have a preference for one or the other. Usually, blue types belong to all of them and they use all of them all the time. They also love statistics. So if you can cite studies or cite articles, that's always super helpful. For these personality types, you want to have a robust, like, about us page on your website, an FAQ section, things about your origin story, things about your team members, staff profiles, any type of educational materials that you can create. And definitely with these folks, you want to take what's called an omni-channel approach to marketing, which just means you're using a whole bunch of different channels all at once: web, social media, written content, video content, events. You're basically approaching it from all different angles, right? And they want to see statistics and reviews. So for as much as you hate Yelp or Untapped, if you have a great review, put it up there. It's a testimonial, it's social proof, right? Feel free to also get super nerdy with these folks because they love statistics, right? Okay. So I'm going to exit out of here. Before I do that, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. This is how to find me. If you liked being here, I loved having you here. If you want to learn more about any of this, or if you have additional questions, please find me, reach out to me. I'm a one-woman team here. Julie at notyourhobbymarketing.com. You can also find me on all the socials at Not Your Hobby Marketing. A little different on Twitter. Someone took my handle. I don't know who you are. I will find you. I'm at Not Your Hobby MS, but you can also find me on my website as well. And I am going to exit out and we are going to go over here because I have got some fun stuff to show you. And Andrew, I hope this is okay that I'm just like going rogue and sharing my screen. I'm sure it is. He gives me a lot of, he doesn't make me follow a lot of rules when I do these, which is really nice. Okay, because I want to show you some real world examples. I'm on the email list for Firestone Walker. I think they do absolutely wonderful email marketing techniques. I wanted to show you what this looks like. This email that I'm going to scroll through for you. Hang on, let me take away my Mac menu if I can. There we go. That's out of the way. How this appeals to different personality types based on these color codes, right? I will show you this. I pulled up this email. First of all, I can click on this first thing. Action takers, crafted through hops, mixed pack cans and bottles now available. Thank you very much. You gave me a link to click on and I'm going to go find it, right? I've also got this one right here. And then if you keep scrolling, I can keep clicking on things. So for all of the dominant action takers, that's already taken care of. For the folks that value media, this is a wonderful pack shot, by the way. Beautiful. Not anything fancy, right? You can do this with an iPhone. Very easy to take. It's going to give me more of a description down here. I can still click on things. We're going through here. This gives me the information that I need. For the folks that like science, what does this have in it? It's giving me some features, right? Single hop IPAs, Comet, and Mandarina. I can also click on these if I want to. You know why? Because it will tell me that I can find out more about those specific hop types for the people that are looking for that kind of information. Then it tells me what I'm actually getting into. Then it goes even further, introducing Comet, right? So for the people that love more information, for the people that have questions, they're giving me more options here. Again, if you're the type of person that wants to read the blog, you can click on the blog button, or you can click on learn more. Or if you want to take more action, you can click on the beer finder, right? Also, if you keep going down, we get more and more information. So this is all appealing to the blues. It's appealing to the greens because we're telling stories. It's giving me links. So it's appealing to the reds. And then down here, text buy one, save four to this, get $4. This is the FOMO thing, right? The yellows are getting their fill because it's great media, great photography, right? So I'm getting all the feels from this. But then we're also highlighting things like limited time offers, things that are limited in time. And then, oh, here we go. We get a social feed. right? This is a perfect example of a marketing email that might not strike you at first as like appealing to all these different personalities, but just with the small techniques that they did, they actually encompassed everybody in the DISC system, right? Okay. The next thing I want to highlight, Joel has no idea that I'm highlighting his website, which is super fun. But this is Four Saints Brewing Company out of North Carolina, in Asheboro, not Asheville, Asheboro. Put that on your list of places to go. I love his website. I love it, love it, love it. Why? Clear menu. I got the reds covered, right? Clear hero section. This is I can tell who he is, what he does, what they produce, and what they're all about. And I can also find things if I want to take action, right? Straight to the point. The reds are covered here. The other thing is that I scroll down a little bit more. We've got some social proof, right? And we've got fun things because this is media. The yellows love this. The greens love this because we're getting a little bit of a story. And the blues love it because we're getting social proof. So we can click on things too. This appeals to the reds. And oh, look, yellows, we have a mobile app, which I think is fantastic, right? Don't miss out on that. Download it now. Then we've got a little bit more context. We're getting into more the green and the blue situation here. We've got our mission. We've got our vision statement. For the reds that are still hanging out, that haven't clicked away to anything else, we've got what's on tap and it's scrolling. I can see what's happening. The yellows love this as well because they can see exactly what's going on right now at this moment. And you can keep going and it gets even better. Reviews, social proof. Thank you very much. You can scroll through all of these. The reason behind the brewery, the origin story, that's appealing to all the color groups here. The short story, and then we've got where to find them, right? You're giving me logical information. This is blue territory. How to contact people. You can go straight to the source. Special deals and first to know info. This is for the yellows. This is also for the greens and the blues because they like more different information. And you're also able to click on this to sign up right away. So you're appealing to the reds as well. You've got all kinds of different fun things to click on right here. The online store, upcoming events, things like that. Social feeds for the yellows down here. I want to highlight this because this is very important to me. I love that they have kind of a statement of their core values down here. And again, this also appeals to the blues and the greens as well as the yellows. They are certified Safe Bar, just so you know, as a heads up. All right. So that's a great example of how that actually shows up in a website. The other thing that I want to show you is a blog article from Sierra Nevada. You want a great example of marketing? Just go to Sierra Nevada. They're wonderful, 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 wonderful with their marketing. This is a blog post from them that you can find on their website, but I'll just go through this very quickly. We've got things that we can take action on. There's backlinks. There's things that I can click on. There's a very lovely romantic media shot here of the brewery for the hopeless romantic greens and then also the yellows as well. But this just gives you a good example of what a blog post that covers all those types would look like. And then finally, I want to show you what this looks like in a sales sheet. So this is from Spencer, who, if you don't know, it's one of the newest, which rarely happens, but a certified Trappist brewery. But I want to show you in that we've hit on all the personality types and how this applies to retail buyers as well, and not just end consumers. So you're giving me a great pack shot, right? That appeals to the yellows and the greens. You're giving me a wonderful backstory, the origin story of the beer, something that's very kind of traditional brewery, sort of romantic notion of like traditionalist. That's lovely for the greens. You're also giving me a lot of attributes down here for the blues. And then for the reds, you're giving me the UPCs. For the people that are just like, I'm going to skip all that above stuff. I just want to take action. I'm a red type. I'm going to just scan the UPCs and add them into my set, right? Okay, so I'm going to click out of this. I'm going to start taking some questions as a human, like face to face. So I'm going to go through the chat here. And if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to pop in there. Andrew, if you want to give me a time check to let me know, I think I have about 5 or 10 minutes here. But all right, so would you say that consumers are attracted to brands that match their personality? red personality consumer is attracted to red personality brand. Yes, that happens quite a bit. So a really good example of this is Stone Brewing. That brand is not for everybody, right? You got the gargoyle, they're kind of aggressive, you know what I mean? They're very like in your face. Back in the day when they first came out, it's very distinctive, right? So you have a very much a red brand, a very much a dominant brand image in the fact that you've got people that want to buck the system. They're going against the grain, basically, going against like macro brand. That was kind of a new craft thing when they first hit the market. So yeah, it very much aligns, that you can reasonably assume that certain types of personalities will gravitate towards your brand, when you're giving that feeling to them. All right. How would you suggest approaching content so that you're engaging blues and don't lose reds completely? That's a good question. I think you're always trying to strive to have a balance. And I think the Firestone Walker email that I showed you is a good example of that. In That's a display of sort of hierarchy, right? So there were a lot of links right at the top. That means that they don't want to ostracize the blues and the greens or the yellows, but that you can tell that they probably have a great awareness, that they have mostly red types that gravitate towards their brand. So they're going to be very heavy with like taking actions at the top. If I was to share my screen again and I went to, the Firestone Walker website, they would probably have very clear like menu options, a lot of like buy beer now, find it here, things like that, so that people can take actions right away because those are the type of folks that, gravitate there. But I would say people like the blues because they are so focused on, like asking questions and seeking out more information, that they will stick around a lot longer than the reds. So you can almost, I safely assume that if you put content down below, like what we consider below the fold, or at the bottom of an email, you're not going to lose the blues because they're looking for more information. They're seeking out more information and they're going to go the extra mile to get it. And they're also going to go the extra mile within your website. So blues are the type that will click on the little drop down menus and see what else you have going on that are like buried in other pages that are not quite, so obvious. I don't think you have to worry about losing blues and greens and yellows as much as you do have to worry about losing reds in the process, if that makes sense, because it's very much a time factor. All right. Oh, you mean social media? Okay. It's funny that you said that. I said I wasn't going to share my screen anymore. I will share this really quickly. And Andrew, you might have to approve this for me. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, it might pop up here in a second if Andrew hears me, but it's basically an Instagram post from Odell, and it's pretty simple. It's got a picture of beer. It's a great like pack shot. We have Colorado Pint Day coming up. It's a picture of our Colorado Pint Day, and their caption says, "It's time to add another pint glass to that collection. Tomorrow is Colorado Pint Day. Stop by any of our tap rooms at." It's tagged Odell Brewing 5 Points, Odell Brewing Sloan's. Those are their other locations. Or the Fort Collins Tap Room to get a free glass with any beer. This year's art, provided by the artist with a tag for that, celebrates Colorado Parks and Wildlife. That's who our kind of like nod is to this year. 125th anniversary, and those park rangers and staff members that keep Colorado wild. Available while supplies last, limited to one per customer, and then it's got some hashtags. Here's the thing about that. I was reading forever, but it's not that long. It's like 2 paragraphs, right? It's a couple of sentences. The thing with that is that you've got a call to action at the beginning. It's time to get another pint glass, right? Those are your reds, right? There's tags in there that you can click on. That's another red factor, right? That gives you something to do and take action. The blue aspect of this is giving the background information about how it benefits Colorado Parks and Wildlife and why it's a big deal. It's the 125th anniversary. The greens are getting their fix of like storytelling, because it talks about why it's so significant, why Colorado Pint Day should be on your radar, and then also gives you the background story for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, right? And then the yellow factor comes in with saying limited supplies, get it while you can, limited to one per customer. So I hope that helps Laura a little bit in talking about social media. That's just like a very short way to appeal to all personality types in there as well. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen again, which I don't think ever popped up, but that is okay. Does anyone have any additional questions before I let everybody go for the rest of your conference, which I hope you've enjoyed so far? If you think of anything in hindsight, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. You can find me in the group if you forget my contact information, or you can always go back and rewatch this indefinitely on the Facebook page for Craft Beer Professionals in the video section, and then also on the YouTube page as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate you being here, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.